Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Akshata and this is a video series which I have started to cover the entire portion for the second PUC Karnataka State Syllabus Computer Science subject. So chapter 1 is typical configuration of a computer system. So by the end of this chapter, what all you should be knowing is you should be able to understand the various units of a computer system. Okay, so what are the units which are covered under the computer system, and then to recognize the various components of the motherboard. What are the components of the motherboard? You should be knowing when we complete this, and you will learn about all this. Next is to analyze the configuration of today's computer system. By configuration, you mean what are the various parts or what are the various parts we combine in order to make a computer system, which we will learn. Next is insight to assemble a computer system. At the end of the chapter, you will learn a very small part where you're going to learn how to assemble and what are the requirements to do the same. Okay. So let's see what are we going to learn in today's session. So session 1, which is today's, is going to cover. First one is the terms which are related to the computers. Next thing, the block diagram of a computer system. So we are going to see a diagram, which is a block diagram of the computer system, and what does it mean, each part mean. Next thing is the component of the computer system. What are the various components comprised of the computer? And the fourth one is types of the motherboard. So today we will see what is a motherboard and also what are the various types of motherboards. So let's begin with our lesson. First and foremost, what is a computer? We all have seen the computer everywhere. We see it, like if not in our house, we will see it in our bank, we will see it in the hospital, we will see it in the airports, isn't it? We see computers everywhere. Nowadays, computer has become part and parcel of our life, without which we cannot imagine to live, isn't it? So a computer is an electronic device that manipulates information or data, and it has the ability to store, retrieve, and process data. So a computer is an electronic device. First and foremost, we should know that because it is an electronic device. It is made up of all the hardware. It doesn't have its own brain or it cannot do work by its own. Okay, it needs a human intervention and it needs our help. So user has to be there for a computer to perform anything. So what is a computer? Computer is an electronic device which manipulates information. The whatever data we give, we do perform certain operations, which in other words, we say manipulated or data, and has the ability to store. It can store information. Whatever the calculation it does, it can store it and retrieve. And it can take out that information also if at all you need it, and it can process the data. It can process as in it may be of performing certain operations or performing certain calculations. So a computer is an electronic device that manipulates information or data, and it has the ability to store, retrieve, and process the data. So what are the basic applications of the computer? I don't think I need to explain this because you all know it, isn't it? We use it at home, we use it in medical field, we use it for entertainment, we use it for industry, education, government, banking, business, so on, isn't it? There is no end to it. Wherever we see there is a calculation required or anything, any creative work need to be done, we see computers. Computers are everywhere, right? So this is a small introduction I gave you about the computer. So next is, what are the terms related to the computers? Now, what do you mean by terms? Terms is nothing but words, okay? So whenever we say computer, what does come to your mind? So we say, when you say computer, we imagine a hardware, isn't it? There is a monitor, there is a keyboard, there is a mouse, and it can also be softwares, and it can be data, it can be user. So that is what these terms. So we are going to see what are these terms related to the computers, fine? The very first thing which comes to our mind is hardware. It consists of physical devices of the computer such as keyboard, monitor, printer, processor, and motherboard, okay? And many more, right? So in this image, you can see most of the hardware, right? So the physical devices which we see in and around the computers are nothing but hardware. Okay. Next thing what we will see is software. What is a software? A software consists of set of instructions called as programs that instruct the computer the task to be performed and how it should be performed. So what do you understand by this? So software, you would have known there are so many software we will install, isn't it? To do your C++ program, you have Turbo C++ or some other software you might be using. You have your Word, Excel. What are these? These are all softwares. Fine. These what do they consist? They consist of set of instructions called programs. Set of instructions are always called as programs. And what do they do? That instruct the computer the task to be performed. Okay. So you know in your Word software what happens, the operations which happens in Word are entirely different from what happens in your Turbo C++, isn't it? So every software has its own set of instructions which tell the computer what it has to be done and how it should be performed. So this is about software. Next we have is data. What are data? So data is everywhere, students. When you look around, so any information you find is data. Okay, so it can be about your college, how many students are there, what is the color of your school college uniform. So data is everywhere. So what does a computer do? How it is important? How data is important for a computer? So we mainly use computers for this purpose only, isn't it? Data are values or raw facts which are provided as input. So data is nothing but what goes as an input in the computer. Okay. Then process to generate something meaningful information. A processed data is always called as information. Okay. So data are values or raw facts which are provided as input to the computer and then processed to generate something meaningful information. So this data is very important when it comes to computer along with your hardware and software, because data is the one which we will use in these softwares and hardwares. Without the data, it is not at all useful. Okay. And the last term which we are going to learn is very important. So all these are important. Okay. Without one, it is not possible for a computer to work. Next one, what we are going to see is users. Okay. User are the people who write computer programs or interact with the computer. Now, what is the difference between these two set of people? Computer program is Computer programmer is the one who writes the codes, okay, who writes the code to the computer, and he will be knowing much more than a normal computer user. Okay, the interact with the computer is the end user who just know how to operate as a normal computer. Okay, so these are the two set of users which who are related to the computer. So these are the four terms related to the computers, which are hardware, software, data, and users. So next we are going to see, what we are seeing here is the block diagram of a computer system. How does a computer system look in a block diagram? Okay, so see here, these are the parts in a block diagram. We have input unit, which is over here. Input unit through which we give input. We input the data into the computer system. We have central processing unit, which is nothing but CPU. Okay, it actually handles or monitors all the operations of the computer, which include control unit, arithmetic logic unit, and registers. So we have our control unit here, we have our ALU, which is arithmetic logic unit here, and also we have register, which is, though it is not shown here, we do have it. Okay. And then we have a storage unit and we have output unit. Storage unit, this entire set is called a storage unit, and then we have output. Let me briefly explain you how exactly these work. Okay, through input unit we give the data or we enter the data into the system. Okay, and what does the CPU does? It does, if there is any arithmetic calculations or some operations to be performed on this data, is performed in this unit. Okay, so registers are the small memory units of the CPU where also we can store certain data, but it is very limited and also it is very fast and also it is very expensive. Okay, so registers are used for that. So all the calculations are performed. So once these calculations are performed, we will store it in the storage. Even in the storage, you can see there is a primary storage and then there is a secondary storage. Now, what is the difference between them? Primary storage is something which is used by the CPU during the calculation, like your register. Okay, more often it is used primary storage. So here what happens during any calculations, the data is accessed by the CPU from the primary memory, and also certain after performing certain operation, the results are stored in the primary memory by the CPU. Okay, so once all these calculations are done, and if you're sure that you are going to store it, now the data is not required for the calculation, then there are two more things you can do. Either you can store it in the secondary storage, or you can send it to the output device to show the output to the user. If the user wants the output, then we can send it to the output device, or we can store it for the future use. So secondary storage is something where we will store the data, okay, for the future use, but the CPU does not access from the secondary. If at all you want to access certain data from the secondary memory, it has to be brought back to the primary memory, and then from the primary memory, the CPU does the access. Okay. And then we have the output unit. As I told you, if there is any calculations like your C program, C++ program, when you're performing in the lab, the output comes in the monitor. Okay. So there the output is sent to the output unit. Fine. So this is all about the block diagram of our computer. So next we will move on to the components of the computer. The first thing what we saw were the terms related. Now we will see the actual components which are of the computer. So in this session we are going to see input unit, and we are going to see memory, and then we will see motherboard. Okay. So what is an input unit? What are the input unit? So what is an input unit? The input unit accepts the data from the user and then converts it into a form that is understandable by the computer. This is very important, students. Okay. So accept the data. The data can be anything. Okay. Data can be in the form of what you type from the keyboard. It can be a image. It can be a voice input. It can be so many things. Okay. But whatever the input unit is getting, what it does is it converts it into a form which is understandable by the computer. What is this form which is understandable by the computer? It is nothing but machine level instructions, okay, or you can say binary form. It converts it into binary, and then it is passes on to the computer. So that is a work of our input unit. So there are various types of input unit. The most common ones you would have seen is keyboard and mouse, isn't it? There are other. Even the microphone is also an input unit. Your OCR, what does it do? It is a code reader. You would have seen if you're doing some shopping, there are some barcodes. So this one reads those barcodes. Okay, trackball, light pen, your scanner. You scan the images, joystick, barcode scanner. All these are your input units. Fine. So next we have central processing unit. So once we take the input from the input unit, what happens? It goes to the primary memory, and from there, if there is any calculations to be performed, it comes to the central processing unit. And this central processing unit, the CPU itself, consists of these various parts. Okay, what are those? Arithmetic logic unit, okay, which you can see here, control unit, and then registers. Okay, so central processing unit is the one who is responsible for all the operations performed by your computer. It is like a heart of your computer. It controls and performs all type of operations. Okay, so arithmetic logic unit is responsible for performing the arithmetic and logic operations on the input data. Okay, and then the central unit controls the overall operations of the computer. There are many data which is flowing, okay, all over the computer. It can be from the input unit to the primary memory, from the primary memory to the secondary memory to the CPU. So all this is plus the operations performed are being controlled by the control unit. Then we have our register. What does they do? They are high speed storage unit, like I said in the last slide, within the CPU. They reside within the CPU itself, okay, but have the least storage capacity. They are small in size, but they are very fast. Okay, they're small in size but very fast. So we don't use them to store many data. This is used only to store the instant the results which are being calculated right now in the computer, and then later it will be sent to the primary memory or to the secondary memory. Okay, so this is the central processing unit, and these are the operations performed by them. Next thing we have is storage unit. Okay, the storage unit is of two types. We have primary and we have secondary. Okay, so primary memory is nothing but which is inside the we saw it, which is directly communicates with the CPU. In primary memory also we have two types. We have ROM and we have RAM, which we are going to see later. Fine. So as of now, you remember this. The primary memory is also called as the main memory of the computer. The secondary memory is also called as the external memory of the computer. Okay. You can see in this image, this HDD, SSD, flash drive. You have seen this is a very common one which we use, isn't it? Pen drive and CD. So these are all diskette, external HDD. They are all, what are these? These are all secondary memory. Okay, these are all secondary memory. You can see here ROM and RAM. This is nothing but our primary memory. Okay, this is our primary memory. Clear? So next we have our output unit. So what is these output unit? Once we take the data, initially we take the data from our input unit, then we perform the operations on our CPU, and then it is stored in the secondary memory, or it will be sent for output. What is this? The output unit provides the processed data, right? So, see the output can be through a webcam, it can be a video or something, it can be an audio through microphone, it can print something, okay, and it can be monitored also. So it can be monitored like your like how you do it in your lab. The program output you always get it on the monitor. So that is also kind of an output. So speakers, so audio output, fine, printer, headphones, etc. So these are the output units. That is their operations. What they do is whatever the processed data is there inside the CPU, that will be shown to the user through the help of our output unit. So they are also very important. So what all things we learned till now? We learned input unit, and then central processing unit, and then the storage devices, storage unit, and then output unit. Okay. So next we are going to see motherboard. So next we are going to see is motherboard. So motherboard is nothing but a main circuit board in the CPU. Okay, you would have seen something like this, a circuit board. Okay, this is very, very, very important part in the CPU. This is also called as printed circuit board, okay, or PCB. This is other name for the motherboard. Okay, so this is a circuitry board. As you can see, it will have lot of slots, and you will have ports. Okay, these are called as ports, and these are slots where we mount the various parts required for the computer. It can be a processor, your registers, your RAM, etc. Okay, and you can connect your external hard disk, your mouse, keyboard. So everything happens through motherboard. So motherboard, every data, everything comes through the motherboard. Either it is directly connected or via some other part. Okay, the data flows through motherboard. So that is why motherboard is very, very, very important. Now Now we will see what are the basic characteristic or how it is characterized. In the market, there are many types of motherboards available, and how do we differentiate? Or in this particular session, we are going to see the various types of motherboard. Basically, we will see 4 types and how it is different. Okay. So what are the factors which makes them different? First thing is there is something called as a form factor. Form factor is motherboard geometry, dimension, arrangement, etc. And what do we mean by that? Geometry is nothing but your length and breadth. Again, geometry, dimension, they are same. And then arrangement means about these slots and ports. Okay, what are the types of slots available? What are the types of ports available, etc. Depending upon that, the motherboard will vary. Then we have chipset. What is a chipset? The function of the chipset is to coordinate data transfer between the various components of the computer. Okay, so data transferring between various components. It can be your memory to CPU, CPU to memory, memory to output unit, etc. This is controlled by chipset. Now, this will also vary from a motherboard to motherboard. So that is also another characteristic depending on which we will differentiate. The third one is processor socket. There is a socket on which we will mount the processor. Now, this also varies. Depending on that also, we will characterize the motherboard. So next we are going to see the 4 types of motherboard, and while I'm going to explain the various characteristics and see carefully how these factors making them different from each other. Okay. So the very first one which we are going to see, the first type is XT motherboard. Now what is this XT is nothing but extended technology. Okay, this was a very old type of a motherboard, and let's see what are the characteristics it has. It is an old model. It has an old model processor socket. Like I said, processor socket also varies. So the processor socket which they use is LIF, which is low intersection force sockets. Okay, the RAM slots. Now slots are nothing but something I showed you. They will have slots where we will mount the RAMs. Now what type of slots they have is RAM slots, DIMM and ISA, that is industry standard architecture slots. Now these are the names given to these slots. Okay, and it had a 12-pin power connector and no ports. And slot type processor. They had a slot type processor. DIMM, which means dual inline memory modules, were there in this. And also ISA slots for add-on card. Okay, so these are the slots which were available in this type of a motherboard. So what is the example for this type of a motherboard? They were available in Pentium 1, Pentium MMX, Pentium 2, Pentium 2 processors. Okay. So next we will see another type of a motherboard, which is the next type of a motherboard is AT motherboard, and here AT stands for advanced technology. Okay, so this one had a PGA, pin grid array socket. So this type of a socket it had. The name of it is PGA socket. Okay, and it also had SDRAM slots, and then 20-pin power connector PCI. While we had in the last one 12-pin, and this one we have 20-pin. The example for this type of motherboard was available in Pentium 3 processor. Okay. The next type of a motherboard we have is Baby AT motherboard. Now this is a combination of our XT and AT. Okay, so this had the characteristic of both XT and AT. This has slot type preprocessor socket and PGA processor socket. So both are available. Both type of processor sockets are available. SDRAM slots and DDRRAM slots. PCI slots and ISA slots. So see, these are the types of slots which were available in this, and 12-pin power connector as well as 20-pin power connectors and ports. Okay. So example of this is Pentium 3 and Pentium 4. Next we will see the last type of a motherboard. Now this is ATX motherboard, and this is also used currently in most of the systems. Okay, so this is the latest one. So it is ATX motherboard or Advanced Technology Extended. ATX stands for Advanced Technology Extended. Now this one has MPGA, that is macro pin grid array, processor circuit, DDRRAM slots, and also PCI slots, AGP slots. See, the various types of slots are available in this. And it has primary and secondary IDE interfaces. So this one has more features. This SATA connectors, 20 pin and 24 pin ATX power connectors and ports are available in this. The example for this type is Pentium 4, dual core, core to duo, quad core, i3, i5 and i7 processor. These all use ATX motherboard. Okay, so these are the 4 types of motherboards. I hope the various characters of these are clear to you. Okay, so that's all for today's session, students. So very soon I will come up with another video for the session 2, and I'll hope and try to cover as many as portions as possible before your examinations commence. So this is the end of the session, and that's all in this session. So next session we will try and cover more and more topics, and I will try to complete this chapter within 2 more videos. Till then, take care, students. Bye bye.